Greetings and hello, this is video 76 part 2, continuing the questions and answers with the ancient tralaka as we are working here on this show. So let us take back tralaka back to where we left off in part 1. Are you ready? Hey, this here is the ancient spirit tralaka in spirit and ready. So let us get back now to the question. So let us start. Okay, as you become stronger and more able in meditations, you will be able to access other worlds and their libraries on the other planets and moons and so forth. Though please remember to bring your manners with you, not your nanners or your bananas, but your manners, so you'll be able to gain access to a library and respect others at that place. There will be others there to help you understand the way the system of the library works. And so please do not go there with an attitude or being a smartass, for you will end up getting locked out of that filing system and most likely kicked out of that library until, okay, this is important here, until you can show them that you can control yourself and be respectful. So the hardest part in the libraries when you gain access is being able to understand in the manner that the authors wrote that file, or let's say a book or scroll and so forth, to understand that as strange as that writing may be to you, it is similarly just as strange or stranger to other species not on Earth to understand in upon the manner that you author your writing style. Okay? Well, though that sounds very strict, tralaka, let us talk, tralaka, about Atlantis very briefly. You are very passionate about Atlantis, correct? Well, that's a very good question that I will explain very happily. Atlantis is both, let's say, very passionate, deeply passionate for me, and yet very frustrating. Okay, the true beauty that the mixed species of those humanoid Atlanteans that settled there on that continent of Atlantis, combined with they combine the nature of Earth's Gaia with art and such technology in everything they built or fashioned or wear or to use for, let's say, the occupations that they learned and that they started. This was truly incredible, while appearing for some time as being the perfect outcome of a multi-species colony that developed into many towns, cities, and explorers of the planet Earth. And yet I want to spend time to explain that in some of my videos I go into such great detail on these aspects because it's important to understand the different viewpoints, okay? For truly, if Atlantis had been able to later in time to fully break that energy grid we've talked about around Earth, it truly would have caused Earth's history as we know it now to be much, much different. And it would be so much more peaceful and working together for the greater good, which is truly one of the keystones of what the Atlanteans worked with. So, wow, you really nailed that one. So, did you at any time in a past life be in Lemuria or around Lemuria? Do you know anything about it? Well, let me get to you. No. The answer is no. I never spent a life in Lemuria. Although I did board ocean-going Atlantean ship with other Atlanteans to go to Lemuria and to trade with the Lemurians. Though I spent the time at one of their harbors on the ship, making sure that the cargo was being moved from the ship, how would you say that? Being moved from the ship correctly and then loaded with trades correctly back in the ship to take back to Atlantis. It was a very strange, for this is a big harbor where we are at, and wherever we were, it smelled like fresh flowers all over the place, and not the natural ocean aroma, and no answers on how they did that. But, oh, so can you tell us more about Lemuria? This is very interesting. Let's continue more. Oh, well, okay. The Lemurians were mostly of higher vibration and fifth dimensional beings. And at many of them at the end times for Lemuria, they used their higher science, and which they understood, to trans-dimensional leave in their ships, most of them, off planet Earth and beyond the Earth's energy grid. This I also talk about in some of my videos. As yet, just another thing that would truly piss off that species of reptilians who control that energy grid. And truly understand, it would really send those reptilians, that particular species of reptilians, into yet another full-blown rages of anger for quite some time. They were not very balanced, as you would say. Which, for those who lived on Earth, who had the technology to be able to see some of these things, what would you say, going on, it brought them both laughter and also making sure, oh, whoa, we better watch out in case those idiot reptilians come down here to Earth in their ships and to extract some revenge for being made to look like, what was that? An idiot again. So, whoa, that's a really interesting twist there, Tralaka. But let us now spend a few minutes talking about that actual grid around Earth. Okay? Well, I'll give you the short version, okay? Let's use the short version. Unusual for me, but okay. Okay, a great question with much mystery and deep deceptions. There, back in the very early, what would you say, Earth time, as it was just being able to be lived on or in, some of the reptilians, whom I understand were from the area of Saturn and Neptune, parts of Earth's system of, what would you call, Earth systems of planets, who first made that early energy grid around Earth to keep the species on Earth so they would work for the reptilians, do their labor, and make things for them. Though sometime later, the early those early Lemurians came to Earth, and they went right through that energy grid like it wasn't there. And this went on for some time, for different parts of the tens of thousands of years. Those Lemurians were on Earth. Those energy grids didn't seem to apply to them, and those reptilians, it put them into endless long fits of rage over and over again, that the Lemurians could just, what would you say, come and go as they pleased, without paying the piper, so to speak. Just about the time they would cool down, more Lemurians would be going or coming, and the rage just started all over again. So this came along. Later came along a certain species of greys with their much higher technology than those raging reptilians did on the outer part of our Earth systems of planets. Yeah, that's the right way of saying that. A short deal seemed to have been made. According to what's in the library on certain worlds, there was a deal made between those always angry reptilians and that system species of gray. And this was very interesting because uh, as you see how things unwind, the grays updated very greatly that energy grid around Earth in exchange only for getting some of the benefits of that energy grid. I smell something very suspicious coming. Listen on here. To absorb any negative energy from the planet below for food. For the Greys also, as the reptilians, used it for food to sustain their lives in different manners, okay? Very, very, very weird, very strange groups. Then shortly later, the Greys, for all appearances, according to record, seemed to just disappear from being around those angry reptilians. Can you blame them? I wouldn't want to be around them. They're always getting mad, okay? For that species of gray had built a couple of secret bases on the surface of Earth right in front of the reptilians who patrolled periodically past Earth. And the reptilians never seen it. And they used their higher technology that they did not share with the reptilians to be able to tap into that energy grid and send it to the bases to keep the Greys fed and sustained in a healthy manner. Ha! How ingenious is that? But it gets better. While the Greys cultured their secret plan, which I have talked about in my videos. That was so brilliant. You have to give them credit for being brilliant. It would be a plan so devious that it would still cause a problem on Earth, yet here in the 21st century that we are in now. Because this contrived, I think that's better, plan by them, the Greys, would be there this reign of fear over spirit humans by instilling fear and dread into these made-up beliefs, which the Greys had so scientifically figured out in their little ways that in their labs what would work best. Here was the original problem, reaction, and false solution that was used on the planet Earth. For it had worked elsewhere, obviously, in the vast living multi-dimensional universe, okay? Because, for one extent or another, because that species of gray, according to the files that they had in their very deep, super high-tech computer memory files that went with different gray explorer expeditions to different parts of the universe to keep things going for the gray explorers. So, this is the end of part 2, questions and answers with the ancient spirit Tralaka. Good night.